All right, so Open Legend is an awesome RPG system that can be used to play tabletop RPGs, just like D&D. This one is free and open source, which means that it is created and shared among the community. They're constantly updating it and making it even better. So this is something that is super fun. They even have a Discord server where you can go and keep up to date with what's going on with the system. The website is openlegendrpg.com, and it has a lot of great resources, all free online for you. They do have a printed version that you can purchase in book form, but it's totally up to you. It's all online and all free, so you don't have to go anywhere. On their website, they have a few cool things on the left here. What you'll probably mainly focus on are the core rules section. It goes through character creation, actions and attributes, banes and boons, feats, perks, flaws, and so on. These are all a bunch of awesome things that go along with the system and will be helpful to know. You've also got your banes, which are basically the things that you can do to cause problems for your enemies. Maybe give them some persistent damage or make them blind or slowed, things like that. You've got your boons, which will help you or your teammates, give you a little bit of buffs. And then your feats, which are your special abilities. Unlike D&D 5e, you don't rely on racial abilities and traits or class traits. You get to build it from the ground up. So these feats, you can spend points in order to get those special abilities. So let's go through a character sheet just to show you how it works out. You're more than welcome to read through all of these, but it's nice to see it visually. My own DM has created a very spiffy looking sheet that I will share in the comments or the description there. But basically, you're going to go through and fill this all out according to what your character is. All right, so let's say that I was wanting to build a paladin in here. I would definitely want to focus on having some strength because, heavy armor, and also being able to have magical abilities. This would depend on what type of magical abilities I want to use. And this is the fun part about Open Legend, is that you get to create the character as you want it. You don't have to rely on the class system or the traits for races. You get to build them how you want it. You want a goblin that is not stealthy, but really strong? You can totally do that. It just depends on your world and what your GM rules are. So on the character sheet, if I were to do that paladin, I would want to put some points in might. The way this works is you have attributes and you get points to spend in each attribute. Now, if you hover over each of them, it gives you a description of what that attribute means. Just some ideas of what you could do. So if I was building a paladin, I wanted to be able to use a great sword, things like that, I'd want to put some points in this score here. Now, depending on your level of character, you can only go up to a certain amount of points spent on that area. So at level 1, you can't just put 40 points in one area. You have a limit. So if you hover over the score, this will tell you your max attribute score for that. So level 1 and 2, your max is 5. Level 3 and 4, it's 6, and so on. So right now, I probably want to put at least 4 in might because they're going to be working pretty hard on carrying those swords around. Probably some good fortitude because, resisting poison, shrugging off pain, wearing heavy armor. That's one that I definitely want to do. I'll put another 4 in that one. Agility, not so much. They aren't very quick in my mind, so I'm not going to put any in there. Deception, I definitely don't want them deceiving. They're not a liar. Presence, though, they're pretty intimidating. I'll put a 3 in there and give them some points. Persuasion, they're not very talkative, so I'm not going to worry about that. Learning, they're pretty good at learning, so I'm going to put some points in there. Now, I have to be careful because I only have 8 points and I still want to use some extraordinary items. So I am actually going to take that down to 2 in presence and maybe a 1 in learning. And a 1 in perception, definitely a 2 in will. Okay, so I still have 12 points. Now, the extraordinary ones give you the different types of magic. So alteration, you can change the shape. Creation, you can channel higher powers, manifest something from nothing, generate, divinely bolster, things like that. That's a great one for Paladin. If you were doing a fire elemental or genasi, you could use energy to control the elements. Entropy is definitely the darker side of things, disintegrate matter, create undead, things like that. Influence, that's telepathy, telekinesis. Telepathy. Telekinesis is in movement. And then prescience is just, being able to see the future, detecting magic of evil, good or evil. And then protection, you can protect from damage, create barriers, things like that. I'm definitely going to be using some creation magic in here, so I'm going to put a 4 in there. And I still have some left over, so I'm probably going to start building up in the protection area. Put a couple in there. Now I went over, so I'm only going to be able to put 1 in that area. So now I've got my paladin sorted out. Now, why are we building in each of these? Well, when we do this, we get the dice that we're going to be rolling for our number in this column. Unlike D&D, where you just roll a d20 and you add your modifier, you are going to be rolling a d20 and an additional dice, whatever that dice is on this list. So, like, if I was in the middle of combat and I was swinging my greatsword and I wanted to hit somebody, I'd be rolling a d20 and a d10. So that is something to keep in mind as you're playing. It's going to be a little bit different, but it's definitely worth it. It's a lot of fun. Now, these attributes also create your guard score. So right now, my guard is at a 14, very low. The guard is based on your agility, might, and armor plus 10. Now, I haven't put in the armor yet. I have to go through the special equipment in Open Legend to look at it. But I might be able to get some points from, having heavy plate mail. Maybe I get, a couple points from that. That would increase my guard score to 16. It just depends on what you have. And your toughness, that protects you from attacks that test your endurance. Poison, things like that. This is built by fortitude and will. And then finally, your resolve is built by your presence and will. So keep that in mind as you're building your character. If you want somebody who has a really high guard, you're going to want to stack those points in agility, might, and in your armor. But remember, you don't always win out with the armor. You might get fatigue from having to carry those things. So keep that in mind as well. Now that we have that there, we can also pick the feats that we want to invoke. So these special abilities, there's a whole list of them. If you click on the link that pops up here, these are all of the feats that I am allowed to do based on the prerequisites. Sometimes the prerequisite is having so many points in different areas. So I'm going to open these up. So there's a lot of different feats. You could do an alternate form. Maybe you're a druid and you are going to change into a bear, something like that. You can do that through alternate form, or there's shape shifting as well. They do things a little bit differently in each. You've got armor mastery. This means that your fortitude is giving you a +1 armor bonus to your guard. So it's definitely helpful to have that there. You do have to pay for these. The cost is in the top right corner of each. So to start out with, you have 6 available points for your feats, and you can add those in. Now it's totally up to you what you want to use. Remember, this is your special abilities. Let's say that they're really good at, coming back from a bad hit. You could do Die Hard. As if an attack would reduce you to less than 1 HP, it only gets you to 1 HP. You're still up. You've got Extraordinary Focus, which means that you're able to have an advantage on things. You've got your Multi-Attack Specialist, where you can do multiple attacks instead of just one. Multi-Bane Specialist, where you can inflict 2 banes or 2 problems on your enemy. Things like that. So take a look through these. It's super fun to look through and pick out which ones you want. Now, Banes and Boons are also going to help you be able to pick what feats you want. You have certain Banes and certain Boons based on your attribute scores. So let's take a look at the Banes here first. So for each of these, it's something different that you can do to your enemy. You could disarm them, get their weapon out of their hand. You would have to roll a might versus their guard. If you beat their guard, you win. So I'm at a power level 3 right now. That's available to me. At power level 3, the target will drop an object they're holding in a space of my choosing within 15 feet of the target. So let's say I'm 20 feet away from the enemy. I throw something at them that makes them drop what they're holding, and I could have it land right next to me. There's other things like provoking. If you're a barbarian and you're like, hey, come fight me. I don't want you to fight my friends. That could give the target disadvantage on attacks that don't include you. Now this could be done by creation or might. Just super intimidating with might. Presence is one as well, but I don't have that ability yet. Power level there. This is against their resolve. So back on the character sheet, we have these different defenses. It would be their resolve instead of the guard. So those are your Banes. Now your Boons are a lot of fun as well. You can create a lot of different things. You could create an aura of healing, a barrier that hinders or obscures your team from the enemy. You can do healing. You can create light. You can bolster or give advantage to your teammates. You could summon a creature even. This is all based on that attribute score there. Now it's going to be a little bit different with different attributes. So play around with those numbers. There is a list of the full Banes and Boons on the website. If you go to the home page and then on the left side click on Boons or Banes, and it will tell you what attributes you need and what the power level would have to be. So that's the attribute score you would need in order to get that particular Bane or Boon. So then you would just write down the Bane, what power level it's at, the attribute used to roll, and then the target's defense. So like with the aura, looking at the Bane, if I tried to do provoked, I would put creation versus resolve. So in here I would put creation, resolve, so that I know. And it is a power level 4. So that way my GM and I know what's going on here. And that's basically it. You can put your weapons and your armor in here. You've got a place for your inventory. You've got your perks and your flaws that you can look through. These are just some basic ones. Go over it with your GM. Ask them what they would allow. And have lots of fun creating your character sheet. Let me know if you have any questions.